Today, I needed Kenny badly because I had a bad night and I didn't fall asleep. So when I woke up, I was so sluggish and I had no energy. And I thought, is this what it means to be 95? And then I thought...
And tell about why you had a hard time sleeping.
Yes, I wanted to eat ice cream at night. I've been giving to myself by eating ice cream just before bed, which is not healthy, but gives me such joy. And I lay there in bed debating, do I want to turn on a light and put on my shows and go to the kitchen, or do I just want to sleep? So I did nothing, especially I couldn't sleep. And tonight I'm going to go to sleep and I'll eat ice cream at the same time. I need to talk about when you don't sleep, the world is gray. And I lay there thinking of why I'm miserable. And I zeroed in on one thing. I have not been able to go outside for days. It's been icy and gray. And the snow is beautiful, but I can't walk in it. And I couldn't go out. And I couldn't go out. And I couldn't go out. And I said to myself, is this what 95 is like? When I was younger, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have gone out. And it led me into ugly trains of thought. Why am I here? Who needs this? And then I thought, is this what happens when you're 95? Or is it because I didn't sleep? And above all, I didn't eat ice cream. And today when Kenny came, I told him all of that. And we decided that I was going to read about a time in my life when I felt like that for a reason. I had lupus. Lupus is an awful disease. And I'm going to read you parts of it. Okay, Kenny?
Yes. Sure.
Which means I need something to read.
No, I've got that covered. I'm going to set this up like this.
I found out that writing is my salvation, more than drawing, more than anything. If I write things down, I can say what I want, and I can clear my brain. Can I have it?
Should I read it now? Did you want me to read it?
Yes. I'll put my glasses on for the parts that I'll read.
I can't have you read it from the iPad because the iPad is showing you. I think we agreed I would read it, right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I don't even worry about your glasses. You're fine. So I'm just going to read. I hope people can hear me. I'm probably a little bit quiet. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put on the microphone so that people can hear me better. I'm going to unplug you. Okay, I think for this part, people will hear me better now. Okay, so Hetty wrote an amazing piece about lupus. And I'm just going to read the very beginning, a drop from the middle, and the end. This was written in 1973. I am well again. Behind me lies a long and twisted road. And somewhere along that road lie the parts which I have left behind. Like a snake, I shed skin after skin, and left each one wrinkled and dry along the roadside. The skin of my habits, my lifestyles, my assumptions, and my beliefs, and I'm well again. But there is a need to go back and to remember so that in some way I can trace the patterns of the illness. And then Hedy goes into describing the complete trajectory of the journey, which was incredibly difficult, and not easy at all.
I compare it to age.
You compare it to aging. Yeah,
Yes.
That's what she said. So I'm just going to read now from a little from the middle. My body had never been mine. It was what I had lived in. I hadn't earned it. I hadn't paid for it. Like a miracle, it had joined me at birth. It had run for me. It had seen for me. It had given me hands to draw and to paint with, and lips that translated my thoughts. But it was a separate being. It had only lent itself to me. Who was this I who lived within it? What was this body and what was I? And which held this illness? How do you find the answers? How do you begin? I faced myself and I led myself through the first tunnel, that of my illness. Thoughts came and I let them come, and I followed them, and they became carriers of memories. And these memories became my guide. And I learned not to run, and not to look for excuses, and not to defend myself. And I learned that if I let go of fear, the knowledge would come. And then she speaks so much. And I'm going to, Mom, with your permission, I'm going to put this on the on Facebook.
I'd love it, yes.
And then I'm just going to read
The whole thing
the whole thing. I'm going to put the whole
on
thing.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Because we don't have time for the whole thing now.
right. The guides came to me when I began to meditate. They came relentlessly. They came in criticism which I had learned to accept, in weaknesses which I could no longer allow. Some guides were so difficult to follow. They led me into a maze of painful truths about myself, which also waited to be faced. And not until I had come to terms with each one was I free to go to the next. And she describes her journey in this, and I'm just going to read the very end. My illness is gone. My body, my mind, and I are living in partnership. When one goes too far, the other stops it, and we listen to each other. But it doesn't end there, because I've discovered that each one is limitless and floats into areas that I haven't dealt with yet, and that my journey through life must be a recognition of belonging to all that is in the universe around me, and that the strength to do so is always there. I must, however, free it from the lethargy and fog that makes me think I am helpless. Illness does not have to be a must. In some cases, it's just something we have decided not to work with. But along this road, I learned a very difficult thing. I have learned to ask for and to accept help. To those who have given me so much, my family, my friends, and people who suddenly appeared and drifted away again, thank you.
Also,
No, wait. I'm going to plug you in again. There. You can go ahead now. And anybody who has any comments or anything that this touched off for you, please feel free to share. I'm not sure if anybody left comments because my phone kind of stopped recording, but hopefully it's here. No, it's not. Okay, maybe it is. Tammy Smith is watching. Beth Ruland is watching. Yeah, it is working. Pure poetry, Hetty, says Lee Winters. Yeah, and if anyone identifies with anything she wrote, please feel free to share. Hetty, you're on.
Okay. I love to read, and I want to show you this book which really helped me. Viktor Frankl wrote Yes to Life. Can you show it?
Yeah, everyone can see it because you're holding it up.
Right. Because it is so easy when things become unpleasant to say no to life. Say yes. Say yes. Loud and clear, and eat ice cream. Those are all things which the brain wants.
Martha Bilski says, I always felt that illness was a message. Not that I want to blame the victim, but that there's a lesson to be learned from it.
Yes. But actually, everything is a lesson. If we can examine everything and think about it, the answers are there.
And you were going to say more, too, about your own process of aging, your questions about where you're at in life, the challenges, the
Yes.
joys. You were just going to share more about that, too,
Yes.
after I read that.
The body does horrible things. It just does. First of all, it stinks physically. The stuff that comes out of it is urine and bowel movements and throwing up. But in children, it doesn't matter because they do not get disgusted by themselves. We do. I had to learn not to get disgusted. And emotionally, that's not easy. We're used to cleaning everything. We clean streets, we clean buildings, but we can't clean our bodies. They're going to secrete stuff that smells, and we have to wash it off. And that, for me, is not easy. I don't want my body to emit garbage. Emotionally, that's a big thing. And children don't care because they know it's normal. And they know that they can always wash. I must not be disgusted by my body anymore. It's only getting rid of things that it doesn't need. But emotionally, I want to look like a magazine advertisement. And I don't. No matter how much I would wash, no matter how much I would fix myself, my body still gets rid of elements it doesn't want. And it doesn't do it daintily. It is very hard for me to accept that. I remember when I was a kid, a man walking by, and he needed to blow his nose, and he just took his fingers and went like this, and the snot ran out. And I thought, how disgusting, right? what do? I take a handkerchief or a tissue. I don't like tissues, they're flimsy. But I take material, blow my nose, and throw it away. Where is the difference? My body still makes me have to blow my nose. If I get used to it, I blow my nose, throw away the tissue, and not think about it. If I'm a child, I might look at it and say, ugh. I have to change my thinking. And when I look at my body, which has become wrinkled and not beautiful anymore, I have to stop disliking my body for it, because that's nature's way. It makes things ugly as they get old. Ugly is in the eyes of the beholder. If my skin is ugly, but it's skin, it's protecting me from infection. And I am learning to look at the physical ugliness that old age gives. I do not yet like it. That's tomorrow. Today, I live with it. No makeup is going to cover it. It just enhances the wrinkles more. It makes them more obvious. I don't wear lipstick because it goes into the creases which my skin now has. I'm thinking of getting a wig. But I have a friend who has wigs and says they get hot and uncomfortable. So when I'm about to think of that, I think of what she said. So old age has such indignities, but thank you, God, for letting me have it. I love living. And all of us, let us say yes to life. Kenny? Yes to life.
Everyone sees it. There's a number of comments. Should I read them?
I'd love to hear.
Amy Lauren is watching. Julie says, Julie Williams, I never tire of hearing about how you cured yourself through sheer soul searching and self-healing. And I hope you never, ever, ever stop eating ice cream. You deserve it.
You eat it with me next time. You know, I find our not being able to speak of things that we find difficult is the worst thing you can do to ourselves. I know somebody who wrote a book of cancer, of what happens, of her feelings. And I thought, how wonderful that she says these things. What a release not to carry with you the unhappiness that happened through nature. You didn't cause it.
Is that part of the power of writing?
The what?
Is that part of the power of writing that you were talking about?
Yes, yes. And I'm beginning to write how I feel. And it helps me so much. I wrote in what Ketty is writing about lupus. There was a time when the hate that I experienced as a child in Hitler's Austria changed the way I saw people. Not anymore. I worked it out. If you had a bad experience as a child and you poisoned the world around you because of it, your bad experience is permanent. But if you in turn do the opposite to other people, that evens the scale.
And should I read you more things people said? Should I read you other things people said?
Please.
You were talking about wanting to be like a magazine cover still. And Martha Bilski said, me too. I want to be adored for my astounding beauty. Laughing out loud. And when you were talking about secretions, Amy Lawrence said, anybody else getting hungry for dinner? And then she said, oh, Hetty, welcome to being human. You are still doing great. As an EMT, an emergency medical technician, I see very handicapped people. You are doing great. You are truly blessed, my love. And when you were talking about the snot thing, Tammy Smith said, ha ha, a farmer's blow. Very satisfying in the right conditions. Blowing your nose into your fingers. Kathy Lahan Hawthorne says, whenever I see you, Hetty, I notice your radiant, beautiful face. You shine.
That's because you love me.
No, it's true. It's true.
That's okay. Keep loving me.
Lee Winters says the waste of our body is only the residue of the nutrients that are served to help us bring beauty into the world, such as your paintings and such as your poetic words as well. And Julie says, aging is so hard, and I'm sorry you suffer physical discomforts and things you perceive as humiliating. But those who love you only see your beauty, and I don't mean your soul, though that is beautiful too. I mean your physical radiance and your irrepressible dignity and spirit. Martha Bilski says, we just need great hats and ice cream. And Marcia Bard Isman says, yes to life and to Hetty's wisdom. Julie says, also, all of us who adore you are grateful that age has not diminished your mind, your wisdom, or your expressiveness. How lucky for you and all of us. And Eddie says, Hetty, I just got in. I'm sorry I missed most. I'll watch on YouTube. Love you guys. We love you too. And I just want to say this was very brave of you, Hetty, sharing such truthful, vulnerable things, documenting your day-to-day experience of what it means to have a 95-year-old body and being brave enough to talk about that.
Thank you, because it took me a lot of thinking before I tried to figure it out. And Kenny helped me by looking at the program and knowing what I can get away with.
Everything.
Everything. Let me ask you something, all of you. Who created definitions? It wasn't God. People decided that there are only two shapes, man and woman, and they're built a certain way. And anybody who is a mixture is less than those who are not. And when I was a kid, I had so many young boys as friends. And I didn't know why I was attracting them. And I found out it was because I liked them. And some were very masculine and some were very feminine. But they all went under the category of boys. And so I always had wonderful friends in my life. I didn't know until I was older what they went through in the eyes of the world until they began to talk. And I am so grateful for this period of time when men can say, I am a gay man, and women can say, I am a tomboy because I feel like a boy. And now we have people who say, I am both, I am trans. And I wonder how many others we're going to discover living within one body, and how that will change the world. All trees are not acorn trees or oak trees or bushes. Every one of us is made of billions of different parts. And in this century, bit by bit, we're beginning to come out and say, this is who I am. I was never invented before. I am unique. And I look forward to the next generation of different names being created. And they are not punishing names. They will have legitimate names. And it'll be thousands of names because each of us is different from anybody else. And that I thank you, God, for. I love you all. Kenny just made a 0, which meant talking time is over.
Let me just say that Martha also said very brave. And Lee said, a lot of wisdom from you tonight. Thank you, Hetty.
I love you all. Good night. Let us continue loving life. And above all, Viktor Frankl said, yes to life.